Welcome to the channel. So I am sure all of you watching right now are incredibly bored, or quarantined, or running out of toilet paper, but I am here to help you guys out. I have put together my list of the top games of all time. Let's start off with some honorable mentions. There's the Mariners-Indians back in 2001 when the Indians came back from a 12-run deficit. There was the Yankees Red Sox game where Jason Varitek and Alex Rodriguez had that brawl and the Red Sox won on a walk-off home run. There was the Red Sox-Dodgers 18-inning World Series game. There was the Blue Jays and Phillies in Game 6 in the 1993 World Series where Joe Carter hit a walk-off home run. There was the Red Sox-Mets Game 6 in the 1986 World Series with Bill Buckner. To be honest, there's just so many good games, it's hard to fit everything on my list, but let's get started. Coming in at number 5 on my list, I have the Rays-Yankees Game 162. In 2011, the Red Sox had a stacked team on paper and were even being touted as the greatest team ever before the season had even started. Heading into September that year, the Red Sox had a half-game lead over the Yankees for the AL East and a 9-game lead over the Tampa Bay Rays. However, after going 7-19 heading into the last day of the season, the Yankees led the East and the Red Sox and Rays were tied for the wild card spot. Heading into Game 162, the Rays faced the Yankees and the Red Sox faced the Orioles. Heading into the 8th inning, the Rays were down 7-0, but managed to put up 6 runs to make it a 7-6 game. And in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs, Dan Johnson hit a game-tying home run to make it 7-7, while the Red Sox went into the bottom of the 9th in Baltimore with a 3-2 lead. After a rain delay and with Jonathan Papelbon trying to close it out for Boston, he went on to give up a game-tying double to Nolan Reimold and then a game-winning base hit to Robert Andino. Moments later, Evan Longoria proceeded to hit a walk-off home run to send the Rays to the playoffs, and they were the wild card winners. As a Red Sox fan, this was probably the worst month and right up there as one of the worst days I had ever experienced. But man, oh man, this was one of the most exciting days for a baseball fan in the history of the game. Coming in at number 4 on my list, I have the Cardinals versus Rangers in Game 6 of the 2011 World Series. Heading into this game, the Rangers had a 3-2 series lead on the Cardinals and needed only one more win to win the World Series for the first time in their team's history. This game was insane. After a lot of back and forth action, the Rangers found themselves up 7-5 in the bottom of the 9th and 1 strike away from winning their first ever World Series. However, on the next pitch, David Freese smoked a triple off of Neftali Feliz to right that tied the game at 7. Absolutely brutal for the Rangers, but in the top of the 10th, they gained new life as Josh Hamilton hit a 2-run homer to put them up 9-7 and in position once again to win the World Series. Heading into the bottom of the 10th, the Cardinals strung together a couple of base hits, a sacrifice bunt, and a ground out to make the game 9-8 with 2 outs and a runner on for Lance Berkman, who proceeded to get a base hit to tie the game up once again. After a scoreless top of the 11th, David Freese led off and proceeded to hit a walk-off home run as the Cardinals moved on to Game 7 and they eventually won the World Series. Coming in at number 3 on my list, I can't even believe this is even on my list, but I have the Red Sox-Yankees Game 7 in the 2003 ALCS. As a young Red Sox fan at this time, this was my first taste of true pain experiencing the curse of the Bambino. This Game 7 featured a heavyweight matchup between Pedro Martinez and Roger Clemens. However, the Red Sox were able to get to Clemens early on, and they gained a 4-0 lead in the 4th inning. Minus 2 home runs from Jason Giambi in the 5th and 7th inning, Pedro Martinez was relatively sharp, while the Yankees bullpen was pitching great as well in relief of Clemens. After a David Ortiz homer off of David Wells, the game was 5-2. A pop-up to start the inning put the Red Sox 5 outs away from reaching the World Series, but this is where the Yankees' rally began. Derek Jeter went on to hit a double, and Bernie Williams drove him in with a base hit to make the game 5-3. With Grady Little sticking with Pedro, Hideki Matsui stepped up and roped a ground rule double to give the Yankees runners at 2nd and 3rd with Jorge Posada coming up. At this point, all of Red Sox Nation knew what was coming next, and Posada blooped a single to center to tie the game at 5 apiece. This finally made Grady take out Pedro, and the Red Sox gave way to the bullpen. After a scoreless top of the 9th, 10th, and 11th from the Red Sox, up stepped Aaron Boone against Tim Wakefield, and he proceeded to end all of Red Sox Nation's hopes and dreams with a walk-off home run as the Yankees advanced to the World Series. As much pain as this caused me, this was a heck of a game. Coming in at number 2 on my list, I have the Cubs and the Indians Game 7 of the 2016 World Series. There was so much history on the line in this one. The Indians hadn't won a World Series in 68 years, while the Cubs hadn't won one in 108 years. This Game 7 featured Corey Kluber versus Kyle Hendricks, but the Cubs struck first as leadoff man Dexter Fowler hit a leadoff home run to make it a 1-0 game. After some back and forth from the offenses, the Cubs led 5-3 heading into the 6th inning, but extended that lead to 6-3 with a solo home run from David Ross, who was playing in his final game. After their ace, John Lester, had provided 3 innings of relief of 1-run ball, in came closer Aroldis Chapman for the 8th with a 3-run lead. He proceeded to give up an RBI double to Brandon Guyer to make it 6-4, and then Rajai Davis hit a clutch 2-run homer to tie the game up at 6. After a scoreless 9th inning, Game 7 went into a 17-minute rain delay. In the top of the 10th, the Cubs pieced together a 2-run inning thanks to RBI singles from Ben Zobrist and Miguel Montero. However, in the bottom of the 10th, the Indians tried to rally off of reliever Carl Edwards. After sitting down the first 2 batters, he gave up an RBI single to Rajai Davis, and in came Mike Montgomery to try and close it out. On an 0-1 count, he was able to get Michael Martinez to ground out, and the Cubs won their first World Series since 1908. There was so much history in this game and so much drama to end it. This was easily one of the best games of all time. And coming in at number 1 on my list, I have the Yankees versus Diamondbacks in Game 7 of the 2001 World Series. What a game this was. It began with a pitcher's duel between 2 legends in Roger Clemens and Curt Schilling. The Diamondbacks struck first off of Clemens with a double from Danny Bautista that scored Steve Finley all the way from first, but the Yankees answered to the next half inning with a couple of base hits and an RBI single from Tino Martinez. Clemens ended up leaving the game in the 7th, and Schilling stayed in until the 8th. However, Alfonso Soriano hit a clutch home run off of Schilling in the 8th that gave the Yankees a 2-1 lead. In for the bottom of the 8th was the greatest closer of all time, Mariano Rivera, and he proceeded to strike out the side. After Miguel Bautista came in for relief of Curt Schilling, in came another legend in Randy Johnson, and he had literally just pitched the night before 7 innings. Randy Johnson went on to pitch a clean 9th inning, and Mariano Rivera came back out for the bottom of the 9th to try and win the Yankees a World Series. But in an ending for the ages, the Diamondbacks rallied as Tony Womack tied the game at 2 with a double, and Luis Gonzalez lofted a single to center field to win the World Series for the Diamondbacks. This was an amazing game and easily the best game of all time, in my opinion. So that's my list on the greatest games of all time in Major League Baseball. What games are on your list? Tell me down below in the comments. If you are looking for more baseball insight during this downtime, feel free to subscribe down below. If you like today's video, leave me a thumbs up. If not, leave me a thumbs down. Thanks for watching today. I'll talk to you next time.